Welcome back to Coffee in the Swarm, a Project Zion podcast production coming to you from Graceland University in Lamoni, Iowa. The Swarm is our on-campus snack bar in the Newcomb Student Union. This year, our podcast is co-hosted by campus chaplain Aliyah Farrell and campus minister
Mike Hoffman.
Coffee in the Swarm is where we interview students at Graceland who are connected to the community of Christ. Today, we are with our first guest speaker of the year, Danny Dennis.
Hey, Danny. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, so start off, just tell us about yourself, tell us your story.
All right. My name is Danny Dennis. I'm from Lee Summit, Missouri. I attend Liberty Street Community of Christ in Independence. Grew up always going to church. It was like one of those things where you're forced to go as a kid, and then you appreciate it more and more as you get older. Most of my best friends that I've made throughout my life have been through the church. They didn't go to my church, but we went to all of the camps and spec and stuff over the years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very nice. So tell us about your year, your major, your house, all the things.
All right. I'm a senior. I'm a biology major. I think I've got a minor in chemistry. And
You think you do?
yeah, well, I don't know. It's maybe supposed to be under wraps or something, but I think if like on the DL. I think though
So you're accumulating enough hours, you may just
I just have to like add it in later.
Yep.
That way they can't make me do anything else that I absolutely don't have to, and I still get the thing. And I think I'm also working towards a minor in music.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very
Yes.
nice.
Yep. And then was it my house?
Yes, your house.
Yeah.
I'm on fonts. It's my house. Yep.
And you were HP.
I was house president last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, how did that go? Was that one of your favorite things?
It was one of my favorite things ever.
Why?
It was just really fun putting together like the events and the house meetings and designing apparel. Just really more than any of that stuff, just getting to know all the hall and like bringing them all together. We took a trip to Des Moines in the winter with our sister house, and we went ice skating. That was pretty fun.
Cool.
We got a lot of the guys to come out that don't normally, and we were able to use our house funds that we had accumulated from our victories throughout homecoming and just other things like that, selling things to get all the ice skating paid for free. And then we went to dinner, but that was on everyone's own dime. It was pretty funny. We had a football player that I will not name to save his embarrassment, but we're pretty good at ice
You
skating.
just had 1 foot. Oh,
Well, no,
I
I
see.
just it's
Okay.
a story. It's a little story.
Okay.
He was racing this other kid. They took one lap around the rink, and this little girl was like 4 or 5,
Oh no.
struggling to get by. So he like has to stop really hard, and like he ended up falling like right in front of her. So he slid by, and she like watched him hit the wall, and like we're all making sure like this little girl's okay, because he didn't hit her at all, but like he was pretty close, but he saved it. And she just looked at him and went, "Watch where you're going," and then like kept skating. So we all made fun of him. It was awesome.
Poor guy.
Yes.
Oh, but this year, we should make a disclaimer. Danny is, what are you doing this year?
Yes.
This year, I'm the Council of House Chaplains president.
Right.
So
Mike,
I'm Mike's.
No.
The word's leaving me. It was going to be funny, and then I forgot.
Anyway, that's
Underling.
just as well. No.
Henchman.
Yeah.
Henchman.
No,
Yes.
but
That was-
we're working together closer than
Yes. And we'll get
closer than
into
you
that
would
later.
SNHP. Okay.
We'll get into later.
Yes.
Get to that later. So before you mentioned like your church, your best friends are from church. So like just kind of tell us like go more in depth about like your church life back home and all that good stuff.
All right. So grew up going to church every Sunday,
Oh, everything.
and that includes Sunday school. So it was like, as a kid, like in elementary school, I was like, man, you start to figure out like obviously not everyone believes the same things as you, and you're like, oh, my friends get to sleep in on 2 days of the weekend. I only get Saturday, and Sunday I got to get up arguably earlier than I did for school to go to Sunday school. But looking back, it was really fun. We had this big like gymnasium type thing. We just kick balls around, throw football, or church gets super sweaty and stuff. And then we go to Sunday school, and then we go to the actual church service. And
Were you involved in your church service when you were a kid?
I read some pretty solid invocations and
Okay.
benedictions and stuff. Yeah, I've never given a message. We do like a camp service.
Oh yeah.
Like at the end of summer, where all the kids go up and the little kids are like, I went to camp and I drank fruit punch with every meal. But then like the older kids are like, at high school camp, I did this and that, and it really made me feel connected and stuff. So that's more like the speakery part. I've never officially given like a sermon or message or anything.
Okay.
But I think actually maybe the closest I've ever come to that was at the Lamoni Community of Christ Church. I've talked there several times. So
so you have done that.
yes, but at my home congregation, I mean, I've had an invocation written down on my phone since like my freshman year of high school. And I just say that every time.
I
They
see.
never caught on. Then I gave it to
Solid.
my sister
Solid.
Callie. She reads it every time. I think it's gotten down to my youngest sister Lily now, who's a freshman in high school.
Oh,
Yeah. And then I tweaked it a little bit for the benediction. So yeah, I've got a
I
pretty
see.
solid one that I read every time.
Okay.
They don't know. That's the
So
thing.
have you been called to priesthood yet?
I have.
You have.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about that? And
Yes.
kind of,
I
that
believe-
experience?
Oh, it was a long time ago. I feel like senior year of high school or maybe freshman year of college, I was called to the office of deacon. And I just finished up my last class last spring. So I'm all ready to go. I just need to find a date to get ordained. Yeah, it's been a process trying to figure out times that I could get my classes taken care
Yeah.
of. But I got the first two. I did scripture and deacon pretty early on with buddy Eli Wilson and Carol Price. They were great. And then I did intro to priesthood with yours truly, Mike Hoffman, last spring.
Yeah, we did.
It was quite fun.
Yeah.
Very nice. So what brought you to Graceland?
I was gonna say pretty big legacy kid. I don't want to make that sound like I'm like a hot shot or something.
But
Yeah, like
know.
I think I'm pretty sure I'm a fourth generation Graceland student from both sides of my
Oh.
family. Yeah, so it's not like I was destined to come here, but I was gonna come here.
Right,
You
right,
know, and
right.
like at least for my family, like a lot, if not almost all of my whole family has come here. So then like I've got two older cousins, and then my sister's a freshman here now. But I feel like throughout our time growing up, it was always like, oh, I'm gonna branch out. I'm gonna be different. I'm not going to Graceland. I'm gonna do my own thing. But then we all kind of get to senior year, and we're like, yeah, I'm going to Graceland.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have it any other way.
We're good.
So we talked about earlier about you being chaplain and house president. So what has been like your church experience at Graceland so far?
So far, freshman year was employed under Mike Hoffman as the campus pianist, something like that.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
Campus
actually,
Ministries pianist. I played Sunday mornings. We had a service every Sunday, and I think on average one person would show up that was not
Was that-
included in the service.
Was your freshman year before COVID hit or after?
It was after. That was
Okay.
when it was,
Yeah.
I think Gwyneth was in
Yes.
charge of planning the
Okay.
services.
Okay.
So she would be there, and usually Hunter
Yeah.
was there to
it
read
was-
something.
COVID
And
was pretty
yeah,
hard on
you-
Sunday
you were
morning
there.
service. Yeah.
And then I was at the piano,
Yes.
and
Which you still do sometimes.
I do, yes. If they ever need someone, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then sophomore year, transitioned to being the afterglow coordinator with my good buddy Nico Farrell, Aliyah's older brother, and my roommate.
That is my room. Yes.
And that was a good time. We moved my freshman year. I was part of the band. We did the services on Sunday nights, and then when Nico and I took over, we moved it to Wednesday nights.
Mhm. Which has been really a lot better. I
Yes.
mean, it's, yeah. So
We see a lot more attendance, a lot more involvement, so that's pretty good. And then last year I was HP, obviously, so I just prayed for myself every night. And then this year I'm the Council of House Chaplains president.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's
Do
a
you have-
long name. so.
Yes. I like Mike's henchman, it's quicker.
Yes. Do you have any like plans for this year that you really want to achieve or goals for yourself this year at all?
Yeah, so I think our biggest goal that I think we've talked about is just making sure we have resources and opportunities for all students, no matter what religion identity they have or what they belong to or what spiritual things they practice. Just making sure that kids know like this is not strictly a Christian branch under Graceland Student Government. We are obviously big community Christ dudes, goers, whatever you want to call it, but we do want to offer resources to everyone and anyone that might need them. And then this year we're also starting this new thing. We had our first one last night called Share My Story, where we invite an alumni guest to come back to Graceland and share with us their story of how they ended up going to Graceland, what they did while they were here, and what they took from Graceland, what they learned, if whether it was like leadership or like school skills that helped them go on to like a master's degree or medical school or get the job that they had next. And if they met their spouse here, just kind of things like that. And then any like church connections they may have had. And just did our first one last night. We had a guest named Rick Hetrick. he did really well. Shared a fun story his time here.
Lots of fun stories.
Lots of fun
Yes,
stories. I thought he
yes.
did really, really well.
He did. He really did. He did a nice job of framing it all within the context of his faith too.
Yes.
It was
Yes, he
really
did.
nice. So
Yes, thank you, Rick. Thank
yeah.
you for being here. All right. Moving on to what your plans are after graduation.
It's kind of up in the air right now. I have been in the process of applying to dental school, and I've submitted my application to 6 schools. I'm working on 3 more, I think.
3 more?
Yes,
Right.
3 more in
I
Chicago.
thought I heard 30 more.
No,
I
not
was-
30,
I was
not
going,
30.
no, but 3 more.
But right now it's just kind of a waiting game. They've all got several different deadlines. So the University of Iowa's is officially due in 3 days, so I've already turned it in, so I'm good. But then there's another one, Kansas City University is in Joplin, Missouri, and that one is deadline is like February 1st. So there's a big gap. So it's just kind
Yeah.
of like waiting to see if they'll have an interview for me or if they want to see me, and then kind of go from there. So we'll
Yeah.
up in the air. I could.
Oh, we wish you well.
Thank
That's
you.
got to be,
Yes.
I mean, it's a huge next step
Stressful.
for you, but yes.
Praying
stressful,
lots.
Praying, yeah.
I could also just go work at a grocery store if it doesn't work out, you know.
So ideally,
Well.
perfect world, which school is like
Oh, yeah,
the one
what
you
would-
want to go
yes,
to?
yeah,
Like,
perfect.
what do you want?
Ideally, I would love to go to UMKC, University of Missouri, Kansas City,
Yeah.
because it's close to home. I could
Yeah.
live at home,
Yeah.
just, you know,
Financially.
financially make my dad cook for me again.
Yeah.
So great. Miss those home cooked
Well,
meals.
and it's like you said, your hometown, but so you're familiar with that area and
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
I mean,
And
it
then
would
also
be-
the like tuition's in state.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's still not cheap, but it's a lot
Well,
cheaper than it could be at other places.
Very nice.
okay.
All right, so we're coming to the end here. So we have a few Community of Christ questions.
Sure.
So what are your hopes for Community of Christ in the future? And what is one thing you would want the leaders of the church to know going forward?
Mm.
Yeah, and especially this is an interesting time we're recording this because it's right before the 20. I mean, we're several months away from the World Conference, the next World
Mhm.
Conference, but it's on the horizon.
Right.
And we just received a pastoral letter. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but from President designate Stacey Cram, and then the resolutions are out for conference too. So, yes. But what are your hopes for the future? And if you could tell them,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
Hopes for the future. I would just say that the church has been such a big part of my own life. And there have been times when I was younger and I was like, I don't want to go to church, Mom. Where now, like looking back, I'm very glad that she brought me along. And my dad brought me along too, but
Yeah.
he was always last out the door because he just took a while to get ready, you know. But I just would hope that we continue doing what we're doing. We make the adjustments where they're needed. This summer I was a intern for Central Mission.
oh yeah.
And I was at the camp all summer, and it was really refreshing to see all these kids that I've grown up going to church with who are now just old, like middle school, high school. And my hope for the future for the church is that we can keep sending more and more youth back to camps, because I know COVID hit hard the churches and also like camps and spec and things. And it always is very sad hearing if we have to sell a campground or things like that. But I'm hoping that there's a new generation coming up where we have a lot more kids involved too,
Yeah.
and a lot more youth going to all the camps and like showing up to church and things when they can. And obviously it's hard these days with like sports and marching band and whatever you want to be involved with. But I hope that there's still a need and like desire to want to attend Community of Christ things and happenings.
Yeah.
And something for the leaders. What did we just do? We sold the Kirtland Temple and things. That's probably a
months
pretty
ago.
hot
Yeah.
topic right now. I've heard lots of people that were upset about that, and lots of people that were like it was necessary. I don't really know. I feel like I need to educate myself more on like why we do what we do. I can
Yeah.
understand why people would be sad about losing that, but also I feel like it was probably necessary to get some of that money, you know. But I just something I would tell the leaders is like they probably know more than anyone else, like no matter what opinions they hear, they're gonna know more about what the church needs to keep moving on and not just surviving but thriving. And like something that I've always thought, if you've ever seen the movie Thor Ragnarok, you know,
I have,
you
yeah.
have. So Thor is an Asgardian, you
Yes.
know, and something that I think, because like my church, I feel like was very modern. Like I would show up in just athletic shorts and a t-shirt every week, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Like my dad would put on some nicer shorts and a polo, but like
Yeah.
the kids would just kind of wear whatever.
Yeah.
And we have had church a couple of times at one of our members' house because he has this awesome big tree house in his backyard. It's like 6 tree houses that are connected.
Oh, wow.
They're really cool. But we've talked about like what might happen. Like, do we need a building? Like, could we transition to just meeting somewhere in a park every
sure.
Sunday? And like, I am very attached to the building that I grew up going to.
Okay.
But that was kind of brought up because some of the churches in the Kansas City area were sold and just moved on from stuff. So that's kind of why that was brought up. But I just think that Community of Christ isn't a place, it's a people, right?
Yeah.
Like the Asgardians that say in that movie. Asgard, it's not a place, it's a people. They blow up the planet.
Yes. Yeah, that's the one where they relocate.
Yes,
so,
in like Finland or something. I don't think we should do that in Finland, but I think
we may have churches in Finland already. I don't know. So
there may be some downtimes or like some sad times if we have to sell more buildings, but ultimately I do think that we're never going to completely just die out and be gone. We'll figure out something, and we'll just keep meeting together and doing what we do, spreading the love and the peace and the joy and stuff.
I love that. Okay, well, do you have any closing thoughts for the people listening today or in the future? I guess they'll be listening in the future.
I don't go Graceland.
Go Graceland. Yeah.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Andy.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for kicking off our first one of the year. I think it was very fitting, and we're very glad you decided to do this. So that wraps up everything for today's episode of Coffee in the Swarm. Thank you for listening. This is Aliyah,
Danny,
and Mike,
signing off until next time.